47 miles or 76 kilometers. That's all that stands between the Atlantic and the Pacific. For 111 years, one canal did all the work. Then one drought nearly broke it. And Panama made a decision: never again. What they're building right now isn't just an upgrade, it's a $13 billion bet. 5 infrastructure layers on the same strip of land, and only one uses water. The Panama Canal connects roughly 5% of all global maritime trade. It links 170 countries, around 1,920 ports, and more than 180 shipping routes. In fiscal year 2025, the canal recorded 13,404 ship transits and earned $5.7 billion in revenue, up 14.4% from the year before as traffic recovered from the crisis. The mechanics are water-hungry on a scale most people don't appreciate. A ship enters a lock chamber, 52 million gallons of fresh water flood in, and the vessel rises approximately 85 feet above sea level. It crosses Lake Gatun, then descends through locks on the other side. That fresh water drains into the ocean with every single transit, never to return. The 2016 Neo-Panamax expansion added water-saving basins that recycle 60% of that water per transit. Even so, ships have grown approximately 2.4 times larger than when the original locks were built, so total freshwater demand across the system remains enormous. One dry season strains things. 2 consecutive dry seasons nearly brought the canal to a halt. At the worst point of the 2023 to 2024 drought, daily transits dropped from 36 to 38 vessels in July 2023 to just 18 per day by February 2024. The canal logged over 2,000 fewer transits that year and lost over $1 billion in revenue. Panama had no way to change its geography or its climate, so it's building 5 infrastructure layers instead. The first layer isn't a new canal. It's the existing one's direct upgrade and the most foundational piece of everything that follows. At the center of this is the Rio Indio Reservoir, a new water storage project in the Indio River Basin, west of the canal. The plan calls for a concrete-faced rock-filled dam that will flood over 11,000 acres of river basin into a reservoir, an area roughly the size of Manhattan Island. A roughly 5-mile gravity-fed tunnel carries water directly into Lake Gatun, adding up to 15 additional daily transit slots worth of water capacity on top of current levels. It will also supply drinking water to more than 50% of Panama's population and is designed to protect canal operations against drought conditions for the next 50 years. The confirmed investment is $1.6 billion, and without it, every future drought leaves the entire system exposed. This is a Panama Canal Authority, known as ACP, direct investment, funded and controlled entirely by the Canal Authority. As of late March 2026, around 500 families are actively being resettled from the basin. The environmental impact study is in progress, with results expected by the end of 2026. Construction of the main works is scheduled to begin in early 2028, with the full project operational by 2031. Alongside the reservoir, the canal has already rolled out a series of operational upgrades. 2 new precision tugboats entered service in January 2026, purpose-built for maneuvering vessels inside the Neo-Panamax lock chambers. AI-powered traffic management has reduced average vessel wait times significantly. In November 2025, the canal launched a dedicated weekly transit slot for low-emission vessels running on green methanol, ammonia, or bio-LNG. Lane 1 won't generate headlines, and there's no dramatic new structure to photograph, but it is the piece that makes everything else possible. Lane 2 is actually 2 separate rail stories working in combination, and the pairing is more powerful than either one alone. The Panama Canal Railway has been operating quietly along this same transit corridor since it was completed in 1855, making it the first transcontinental railroad in the Americas. It runs from Colón on the Atlantic coast to Panama City on the Pacific in under an hour, 76 kilometers, roughly the distance from central London to Cambridge, moving around 500,000 TEUs of cargo per year. No major rebuild is planned for the line itself. Once the new megaports plug into both ends in 2029, its annual throughput is projected to climb past 760,000 TEUs automatically. The line has been here for 171 years. It just needed the right ports at each end. The existing railway requires no new public investment. It's already privately operated. The second railway is entirely new, and it has received almost no international coverage. Panama is developing a 295-mile line from Panama City through the city of David all the way to Paso Canoas at the Costa Rican border, roughly the distance from Boston to Philadelphia. American engineering firm AECOM is leading the technical work, following a $4.17 million advisory contract approved by Panama's cabinet in January 2026 to advance engineering design on key sections of the route. The line is designed to carry both passengers and regional freight, with passenger trains reaching speeds of 112 miles per hour, cutting the current 7-hour road trip down to around 3 hours. The route is planned to cross more than 70 bridges, and one of them spans directly over the Panama Canal itself. That canal crossing is a standalone megaproject within the larger one, and it's already in conceptual design as of early 2026. In March 2026, Costa Rica's National Railway Institute and Panama's National Railway Secretariat signed a memorandum of understanding to formally align both countries' rail development, with Costa Rica becoming Panama's first regional partner in what could eventually become a broader Central American rail corridor. Total estimated cost for the full line sits between $4 and $5 billion. This is a Panama government project, separate from the Canal Authority, being developed as a public-private partnership. As of late March 2026, the project remains in its pre-investment and feasibility phase, with the master plan and studies expected to conclude by mid-2026 and construction of Phase 1 potentially starting in late 2026 or early 2027, subject to financing and final approvals. Lane 3 is invisible to every ship that passes overhead, and it could turn out to be the most lucrative piece of the entire plan. The project is a 47-mile pipeline, about 50% longer than the Channel Tunnel, and running entirely underground across the isthmus, crossing the full width of the isthmus from coast to coast. Tankers carrying American liquefied petroleum gas arrive at a marine terminal on the Atlantic coast near Colón, offload their cargo, and the gas travels underground to a Pacific terminal near Panama City. From there, it reloads onto vessels heading to markets in China, Japan, and South Korea. The pipeline will carry propane, butane, and ethane with a capacity of up to 2.5 million barrels per day. Every gas tanker redirected through the pipeline frees up a lock slot for a container ship. Panama isn't trying to replace the canal with this project. It's trying to take the pressure off it. The ACP designs the project and awards the concession, but the winning energy company, ExxonMobil, Shell, and others are competing, puts up the $4 to $8 billion to design, build, and operate it. Panama opened the process to global energy operators on January 30, 2026, covering both the pipeline and the new port terminals discussed in Lane 5. The submission deadline for both has been extended to June 8, 2026. Panama expects to name the winning operator in Q4 2026, with operations expected to begin in 2030. Revenue projections running through 2050 are estimated in the tens of billions, with 45,000 construction jobs and 11,000 permanent positions expected once the corridor is running. The pipeline won't appear on anyone's aerial photograph of Panama's coast, but by 2050 it may contribute more to Panama's national economy than the water canal itself. Lane 4 is the most openly unfinished piece of the 5, and Panama is straightforward about where things stand. The concept is a dedicated overland road corridor paired with roll-on, roll-off terminals on both coasts. Ports where vehicles and wheeled cargo drive directly on and off ships with no crane, no container, and no lock chamber required. That means vehicles, heavy industrial machinery, and oversized equipment. Ships arrive at a coastal terminal, cargo drives or rolls off, crosses the isthmus by road, and loads onto waiting vessels on the other side, with no lock chambers and no fresh water required. The surrounding infrastructure is already going in. A $382 million upgrade to the Centenario Highway, the same road that has connected Panama City to Colón since 1943, now being expanded for the first time in decades, was put out for tender in early 2026. The fourth bridge over the Panama Canal, a structure with a total current cost of approximately $2.14 billion, is already underway and will serve as the critical road crossing for this corridor. Both the Corozal and Telfas port hubs are being designed to accommodate road-based cargo movements alongside their pipeline and container operations. A standalone confirmed cost for Lane 4 has not been published by the ACP. Based on the adjacent infrastructure commitments already underway, a working estimate sits between $1.5 and $2.5 billion, with an operational target around 2031. Funded jointly by the ACP and Panama's government, the roads and bridge are public infrastructure. The Ro-Ro terminals will operate under concession. Lane 4 is still being finalised on paper, but the roads and bridges going in right now are already building its foundation. Without Lane 5, none of the other 4 lanes have somewhere meaningful to connect. Panama is building 2 brand new ACP-owned container transship terminals, one on each coast. The Corozal terminal sits on the Pacific side near Panama City and Balboa. The Telfas terminal sits on the Atlantic side near Colón. Together, they will add 5 million or more TEUs of annual capacity on top of Panama's existing 9.5 million, pushing total container capacity past 14.5 million TEUs, with both terminals built to bunker green fuels including ammonia, hydrogen and bio-LNG. The confirmed cost is $2.6 billion. The ACP owns the land and controls the concession. A private port operator wins the right to build and run both terminals. The pre-qualification process, which the pipeline and these terminals share, has an extended document submission deadline of June 8, 2026. The concession is targeted for award in 2027, with construction running through 2028 and both terminals operational by 2029. Interest from the global shipping industry has been substantial, with major operators and carriers including DP World, PSA International, APM Terminals, MSC's Terminal Investment Limited, COSCO Shipping Ports, Hapag-Lloyd's Hanseatic Global Terminals, and Evergreen all engaged in the process. For nearly 30 years, foreign companies controlled the port terminals that surrounded the canal. ACP-owned megaports mean Panama holds the front door of the world's most important waterway for the first time in modern history. The railway runs to these ports. The pipeline loads at these terminals. The road corridor connects to these hubs. Without Lane 5, the other 4 are just infrastructure built near each other. With it, they become a single, connected system. After 2031, projected annual revenue climbs past $8 billion, up from $5.7 billion today. Daily transits are expected to run between 49 and 51 ships, and the Rio Indio Reservoir will end the canal's exposure to back-to-back dry seasons. The full program is projected to generate over $60 billion in cumulative value through 2050. The canal shifts from a single point of failure into a resilient platform. A drought straining the water lane won't cascade across rail, pipeline and road operations simultaneously. A political dispute over a port concession won't freeze the whole system. Panama is also shifting from a transit country to a logistics hub. Today, ships pass through and move on. After 2031, cargo gets sorted, stored, bunkered and forwarded, all within the same isthmus that has been doing this work since 1914. Layering that kind of infrastructure without adding a single mile of new geography is something no rival corridor has managed to replicate. Here is a question worth leaving in the comments. With rival routes still advancing, do you think Panama's 5-lane strategy is enough to keep the canal irreplaceable long-term? Or will competition eventually change the equation? The isthmus isn't getting bigger. By 2031, it will be operating at a scale no other 50-mile stretch of land on the planet can match. The canal that the world tried to replace just made itself irreplaceable. Subscribe for more Megabuild stories.